Good looking now. G.
Everybody have to tell you that here with you beautiful. Everybody have to tell you that God made you beautiful.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Hype. Every season we here on The Hype like to highlight the achievements of a young woman who is outstanding in her school, family, or community. But on today's show, we're going to be focusing on all the co-hosts and their obstacles that they have overcome. Because as we know, life is a challenge, but it's so much easier when you can look at somebody else who's gone through it and has achieved something. So today we're going to have all our co-hosts here. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned right after this.
One day, when the glory comes, it will be ours.
Dr. King, what's your next move?
In March from Selma to Montgomery.
Selma is loud for every man, woman, and child.
We will not wait any longer.
In front of a crowd.
Mine eyes have seen the glory. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women.
Welcome back. Make sure you guys give love to our Hype DJ 007 spinning music from local Philly artists. Today the Hype Squad includes me and all the girls, all right? So we're going to be talking about a bunch of things today, so let's just get right into it, ladies. All right, ladies, so we're talking about overcoming challenges. So what is one of the challenges that you've overcome? One of your biggest challenges that you've overcome? Anybody?
Yeah, that's not all. I would go first. I was gonna go kind of deep, so I just didn't know.
Oh, go for it, because this is, I just want to let everybody know who's watching right now, this is not going to be a superficial show, because a lot of times when you see things on TV, people aren't who they want to be, and we at The Hype, we like to talk about, being real and talking about these things, so we're not going to be hypocritical, and we're going to get in there. So if you don't have your tissue, you can run and get it right now, and you can come back. I'm just kidding, May had them, Go ahead.
All right, so for me, one of the biggest obstacles that I think that I have had to overcome is when I was 17, I was sexually assaulted on my way back home, actually on my block. 2 men tried to rape me. So just being 17, being in high school, having that happen to you, it was a big life-changing moment. Because number one, I didn't really know what resources and who to reach out to. My family wasn't really trained and educated on how to deal with me, therefore, and just kind of having to deal with everything that comes with, you know, you look at men differently, you know, when somebody comes and tries to take something like that from you. So that's definitely one of the biggest things that I have overcome. And I definitely feel like I've overcome it. Like, you know, I feel a lot better, but even day to day, I think that it has allowed me to look at myself more and build a lot more confidence, and like kind of what we talked about in our Underneath It All episode, kind of like look at myself and see who I am. It kind of brought me into that journey of understanding who I am, because I went through a lot in that process. So that was one of the biggest things for me.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay. And for me, it was, so my father, I'm the only child. I've always been a daddy's girl. From the outsiders looking in, I've always been considered very lucky. But my father actually battled alcoholism for a long time. And even though you may think, oh, it just affects him because he's the one drinking, he's the one, you know, doing damage to himself, it really affected me and my mother, especially me, because I looked at my father like he was on a pedestal. And then having, you know, the fights and arguments and him kicking both me and my mother out of the house, like just because he wanted to, and he even pulled a gun on my mom. So it's just, that was a lot to see, especially for somebody you look at and you hold in such high regards. So, you know, the height of it all happened when I was like maybe my second or third year in college, and I was just trying to focus on school. I'm like, I just want to get my grades up. I just want to, you know, focus. But that was very hard, and having different situations happen. Even my dad, like, trying to literally kill his brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so things like that is just, is very hard when you're trying to focus. That's just taking your attention away from it. You try to focus on what you know you're supposed to be doing, but it's very hard. You worry about the person, you worry about coming home and then there's a fight, or you worry about coming home and your mom's body's on the floor, you know what I mean? Like, you never know that poison, that alcohol is just, it's so powerful, and it can completely change a person and take over them. So you never know. It's very iffy. You just never know what's going to happen, you know? So that was very hard for me, trying to keep my grades up during that. So, but he's sober now. He's a year sober, and hopefully it's just for good. You know, we feel like God's touched his life this time. It's very different than any other time he's tried to quit. So,
right, that's good. That's good. Well, for me, we spend a lot of time on The Hype talking about relationships and, you know, what it means to be a woman in a relationship. Well, for me, one of my biggest obstacles was I never was a person who dated. I didn't date in high school. Like, it was just not that. And for me, it was all, you know, wait till you're married. Like, the first boyfriend you get is the one that you're gonna marry. Like, that was me. Like, I was that girl. So I didn't even have wanting to date anybody in high school. But then my senior year in high school, there's a boy that my family and we all know, whatever, and he took me to prom because I didn't have any prospects, so I had to take a friend. So I took a friend or whatever, and I never found this guy attractive ever, like, but you know, things happen, and so I don't know what it was, but we kept talking afterward, and we just kept talking, and we eventually became boyfriend and girlfriend my freshman year in college. And it was perfect the first year, like, you know, that honeymoon phase where everything is great. And then my sophomore year, freshman year I lived at home, and then sophomore year I went to go live on campus, and then it all changed. It was just completely different. I think my sophomore year was probably the hardest year for me because it just got real ugly. Insecurity started coming out because I wasn't at home anymore, and you know, he was also on another campus at college, so things were coming up, you know, on Facebook, things would come up, and I'd be like, what's going on here? And it got to the point where it was just literally breaking me down slowly but surely. And because I had never had any experience with a guy before, I just thought, like, you know, I should stay with him. And I had this mindset that I had to stay with him because I needed this man to be my husband, because I need my first wish to be my husband, and you know, I'm a Christian girl, and this gotta work, and so I would just stick through it, and it would just get really, really bad to the point where I was losing weight. Like, I lost so much weight my sophomore year. My grades suffered so much. I got like a 2-point-something GPA that year. Whoa, not me. Like, I'm just not me. Not me. Like, it was just so bad, and like, you know, my friends would, you know, say, you know, you should leave him or whatever. And Alana witnessed it that year. I think that year was our tough year, like, because we lived together that year. So we both were just going through it that year. It was just so tough being in a relationship with someone in which you kind of want to just make it work. And you don't really know, because my mother never talked about it with me, you know, guys and stuff, because she herself has so many issues with men that she just, her whole thing was just don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. She never talked about what it means to be in a relationship, you know what I mean? Like, so I had no idea. So I was getting it from friends and people, like, you know, whatever I saw on TV, that's what you should do. Like the whole ride or die chick, that was me. I was just riding, dying inside, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I was just doing all these things that I really shouldn't have done and letting this person tell me, you know, you're not good or whatever. I remember it was Valentine's Day and we were all just checking out each other's, you know, who's gonna go out on a date or whatever, and he didn't do anything for me Valentine's Day, and when we were having a conversation, he was like, well, you didn't deserve it. And I believed it. I believed it because I had let him break me down so bad that I felt like I didn't deserve anything, and I was so not who I wanted to be. And it lasted until my senior year in college, in which I finally broke it off. I mean, he was putting pictures up of girls all the time and doing this and doing that and constantly breaking me down until I had enough. But it took God to get me to that point. It took, you know, my faith to get me to the point in which I could do it. But, you know, that was my obstacle. And we're gonna talk about more obstacles with all of you, but before that, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund breeding.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Information on hot water heating.
No. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out the words.
World music, playing track now.
No.
Let me try. Our daughter gets confused about which details in a story are important.
Which paper towels are most absorbent?
What?
Here are 5 product reviews.
Why are you not getting me?
See, I told you.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
La gente cree que soy basura, pero están equivocados. Hoy soy una lata de aluminio, pero algún día podría ser un estadio.
You're watching The Hype, TV for, by, and about young women.
All right, so we're back talking about, you know, all the obstacles that we've gone through and, you know, what we've learned from it. And I just left off with mine. So now we're going to throw it over to Blush, who's going to tell us about her obstacle and what she's gone through.
Mine was when I was about 12. My family literally fell apart. Literally fell apart. I grew up with my grandparents because my mother had me when she was pretty young. But my grandfather and my mother both became addicted to crack at the same time. Wow. And I went from a middle-class lifestyle out in the suburbs to living in horrible conditions literally overnight. I came home from school one day, some cousins had come by and, you know, we were hanging out. And my grandfather was in a space and he hit my grandmother. And my grandmother was like, I'm not taking a beat down. I mean, I've tried to make this work, trying to help you get past this, but you're not gonna beat me. So literally I got off the school bus the next day and she had all our stuff in the car, what she could fit in the car, and we moved. And it was just this massive, continuous downfall financially for our family. And it was just really, really hard because I grew up with this image of the life that I would have. And it was like, this is nothing like what I expected. So I spent probably up until my mid-20s thinking that I was never good enough. I remember my first psychology class at college, and it talked about if you have certain pathologies or certain things in your past, how those things were indicators of what your life was gonna be like. And I just saw me living this horrible, horrible life the rest of my life. And it was the worst thing that I think I ever dealt with. And even now, when I have difficult moments, I have to say to myself, look, girl, this is not the end of the world. If you are not actually going to take yourself out, you can't let yourself go there. It was just really, really horrible. I don't know if there's ever a place that I think makes me as terrified as the whole idea of being in abject poverty. Just to live like that, the way people treat you, the way you feel about yourself. I would never go through that again. I wouldn't, and because frankly, we live in a world where we treat people who don't have resources as if it's completely their fault. We treat them like they're horrible people, and it's like, if you don't have it, what did you do wrong? And I would just never like to be in that space again. And that's one of the reasons why I think I hold to my faith today, because as I take risks to live the life that I want to live, I have to remember that you're gonna have some ups and downs, but I'm never going to go back to that place.
So I guess my struggle, like my obstacle I dealt with, it kind of went into my adolescence, into kind of my young adult years. I've struggled with body image issues, going from usually I was skinny up to a point where it's just like, oh, I really love food, and I started eating any and everything. So dealing with that, and as I got older, okay, I'm not losing, I'm just getting my image of myself, I was just getting bigger. I was kind of starting to be that bigger person in my grades, and I always had this thing where I wasn't as cute or as pretty or anything, so I started to see myself as physically less than, so that I overcompensated by being really active, being involved in any and everything, so being that friendly person. So when I reached a point where I started to be more physically active towards the end of my high school years, I started losing the weight. I'm like, okay, I look cute, boys are starting to notice me more. Going into college was like throwing me into the wolves. Basically, getting attention, getting affirmation, like, oh, you're really pretty, and all those things, and thinking about like our episodes of women in the 2000s and our previous episodes about really not even taking the time on myself, because I didn't even realize who I really was. Am I really being this person cosmetically that I really wanted to be? Who am I appeasing other people and doing things that I necessarily wouldn't have done? Growing up, my parents instilled a list of things that, as parents, that they were good, but when I was out, I wasn't doing them at all whatsoever. So finding myself in relationship issues that could have been easily avoided, but because I didn't know who I was or confident in myself, that I put myself more at risk and went through a whole bunch of things that I couldn't avoid it, being those serial daters and serial situations, thinking that is, oh, me, when, or you, when it's really me, because I didn't even take the time to really love me. I didn't love me some me. And once I started to notice that wasn't until recently, like after I graduated college. So this isn't that far removed, where I'm now just comfortable in my own skin, and like really looking back, you ask, why did I even put myself through that situation versus just being real and just wanting to appease other people and doing things and being outside of your comfort zone. So really struggling with that for me was one of the things that I had to deal with.
So we just, disclosed all of this information about ourselves and the obstacles that we've gone through. So what have we learned from it? What did we learn from it? Because you don't go through something without learning something.
I'm sorry, I know I have this dumb smirk on my face right now, but it's because in hearing everyone's stories, some things I knew, some things I didn't know. It's really uplifting. I know that everybody who's watching this or the audience member may not know each of you all as an individual, but it's so interesting and great to see that a lot of the places that you guys have struggled with, in knowing you each as individual women, these are the areas that you guys are very vocal about, and these are the areas that you guys are don't let them do that to you, or don't Blush. Y'all know Blush. Blush is gonna speak up about someone who's who may not have that much money. She's gonna speak up about their rights. period. Like, you know, and just looking at all the different things that we struggled through and we may have had to encounter, but like how we're making positive turns in those areas. So like, I think that's what it is. Like when you go through something, you go through it and take the time to heal, take your time to deal. Do not try to have a problem and then next week start an organization. It's not about it. Don't do that. Like don't do that. But if you take the time to heal and deal truthfully with yourself, I think that you definitely have a strength of power and a relatability to be able to help people who've been through the same thing and who may not have the resources or whatever.
So what have you all learned too?
I think that's kind of it. I think what I learned, and I actually teach as an adjunct professor at a couple of the community colleges in the area, and I teach actually in Camden. And one of the things, I think I'm like the ride or die professor. I do not feel sorry. It's like, I don't feel sorry for you in the sense that I feel compassion for you. I want you to do well, but I will not let you just come to class and not do well because you aren't disciplined. I mean, life sometimes can be crappy, but no, we have a computer lab. So the fact that you don't have a laptop at home and your homework is now inconvenient to do, you are capable. Just because you come from a poor neighborhood or a poor family doesn't mean you can't have the life that you want. I just refuse to accept that. And if that's what you're going to keep coming to my class with, you may as well withdraw now. You've got to do something.
I think something too, like I had to learn not to, one, keep continually beat down myself about my past, about my history, because that's something that I did. I'm like, you were so stupid, why did you do that? You were raised better, you knew better, type of things, and stop being ashamed. So that's why when we do like C-Lane and other workshops and like the Hype, I want to be as transparent as possible, let them know like, what we're saying isn't just because, oh, we're paid to do this or this is our job, but because I see myself in each and every one of our participants and our audience and anybody else watching that, when I see that, if I just had somebody who was just a little bit closer to me that could be like, hey, this was my story and I understand what you're going through, it just would have made a little bit of difference, whether I would have changed something immediately because whether I was stubborn or ready to hear it or willing to make any changes, that's different. But at least hearing it and any type of prevention, just what took me and changed my whole motives of what I want to do in life and where I want to focus, and not being ashamed and being true and admitting yourself and being transparent, because once you're able to do that, that no longer has a power or a hold over you. And if you let something like that have a hold on you like it does, you're in a world, you're going to just keep on finding yourself back in at the bottom versus being at the top and being able to say, yes, I did that, that is a part of me, but that's not who I am. That doesn't define me.
I think the biggest thing I've learned is forgiveness with not even just this obstacle or just like basically any obstacle I've ever gone through. It's forgiveness, forgiving myself and forgiving the person who may have been involved in the obstacle, may have been causing the problem. Definitely like with relationships, I had to forgive my father because I felt like, you know, if my father, who I put on that pedestal, was knocked off, you know, no man is ever going to add up. So I definitely had to learn to forgive him first.
Yeah. Well, I'll disclose mine, but before I disclose mine, we're just going to take a break and come right back.
Are you a local artist and you would like to have your music featured on The Hype? Well, we might be looking for you. We're looking for respectful hip-hop, R&B and soul, dance and house music, inspirational music, and rock and pop. Please send us the following. We need 5 pictures, 5 edited tracks, 1 music video if you have it, and a bio of the artist. Send it to thehypetvshow@gmail.com.
Don't walk. Walk. Do not enter. Hot dogs. Definitely like hot dogs. Motorcycle club. Everything must go. Ghostly ghouls. Don't look at that, Teddy. Body piercing. Ouch.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
Hey, this is Jennifer Hudson, and you're watching The Hype.
TV for, by, and about young women.
3.
Welcome back. We're still here with all of my girls, and we're still doing this. But we left off with what everyone has learned from their obstacle, and so I just wanted to share with you all that one of the main things that I learned from my obstacle is to speak up. Throughout my whole relationship and all that debacle, I didn't speak up. I didn't speak my mind. I didn't say that's not right. I didn't say I don't like that. I just kept on with it. And to me, that's one of the main things that's stuck with me, not only in a relationship, but just in life. If I don't like something, I'm going to speak up. If I feel like it should be said, I'm going to speak up because I have a voice and my voice gives me power. So that's one of the main things I learned from, my obstacle. So, ladies, do you all have anything else you want to add on to that?
I just want to say, don't let your past does not define who you are, who you're going to be. No matter what your situation, whether it's past relationships, whether it's past things you've done, don't let that have such a strong hold on you that you can't even move forward, or that you're beating yourself up so much to the point where you can't even see yourself moving past it. Yeah. Because that can if you just let that go, then you really can have that power and be encouraged and do that.
Well, thank you ladies so much for sharing, what you've gone through, because a lot of times when you see something on TV, you kind of be like, oh, they're perfect. I mean, we dress cute and all, but we still have our issues. And I just hope that through this whole thing that we just had, that we encourage someone to go over whatever that obstacle is that you're going through right now, because as you've witnessed right now, we've each had our own obstacle, but we've overcome it. And so just taking that and run with it, overcome it. So we'd like to thank our DJ007. I'd like to thank all my co-hosts. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you would like to be a member, learn some music, or be on our in our workshop, just join us on www.thehypetvshow.com. Thank you for joining us.
Good looking now, G.
Everybody have to tell you that he made you beautiful. Beautiful.
So beautiful.
God made you beautiful. Beautiful.
Hey there, excuse me, miss. No disrespect, you're very precious. Please tell me what's your name. You're a precious gem and God's to blame. No, I'm not trying to spit the game, cause it's your soul I'm trying to claim. You probably never heard of this. A love affair without a kiss. All the diamonds in the world could never amount to your vow.